What up, guys? Today is a overall bodybuilding day, and I'm really happy because Gio got to join me. Usually our schedules are so different that she's working out in the mornings, I'm working out at night, or there's like maybe a 30 to 1 hour overlap. But because today we both have the day off, we got to train together. So not only is it very romantic, it's very romantic. We started off with some goblet lunges, and I put goblet lunges in on my bodybuilding day because the last 3 to 6 months I've been doing powerlifting so much, and you're pretty much moving up and down all the time. So there can be times where your bones have a shift, or you're starting to build tightness in an area and one body part is compensating for the other, which creates a muscular imbalance. So I kind of want to fix that. So I'm doing lunges, and I'm really focusing on the quads in case one quad is stronger than the other one now, and I'm trying to move in a different direction so I'm not just moving up and down. And it felt really good. My quads were super on fire. And the key here when you're doing goblet lunges is to stay as upright as possible. The more upright that you stay, the more emphasis on the quads. When you come up and tip forward, you're emphasizing your glutes and hams. After that, we moved on to overhead press with 3 sets of 5. And we're keeping the same theme with the plus-minus method, where after 3 sets of 5 of 160, I do an AMRAP, and that determines how much weight I add. I was able to do 8. And one additional thing that I'm trying to incorporate this time, but we'll see how long it lasts, is trying to do overhead press without wrist wraps. Just because on front squats and for weightlifting, having wrist wraps on your hands, it limits your mobility. And because of that, I wanna strengthen and make my wrists not so bitch-like so that it can take some weight. So when I do cross over into weightlifting, I don't go, where the fuck are my wrist wraps at? I'll still keep the wrist wraps on for bench because that's how I compete. But for weightlifting, to get in a nice, really tight front rack position, you don't want to have a thick powerlifting wrist wrap. So I'm gonna try to remove those, but just because my hands feel so bitch-like and the weight feels 20 times heavier, I might start incorporating it at least in on the AMRAPs. Then we moved on to some side raises, and I'm doing a traditional pyramid style where I start off light, 20 pounds, and then 30 pounds, and then 35 pounds. And on the last set, I was doing some pause ones. And isometric movements, that's the scientific term for pausing, are really good because it helps squeeze your entire muscular fibrosis, camellus, camellus, and it creates this new caloric differentials that turns into this crazy shit called bro shoulders. When I could get my deltoides camellus really nice and big, then I'll feel really good. If you can learn something in class today, kids, isometric movements are good, and we should incorporate that into a bunch of stuff. And after that, we did some single lat pull-downs, once again to correct any muscular imbalances. And also, because at my leanest, when I was around 175, I was able to do 2 one-handed, full, like true one-handed pull-ups, not with an assisted hand. And so I want to get back to that level. So I want to activate 1 lat at a time. And that felt really, really good. Once again, with the last set, having an isometric to really contract that latissimus timolicus. And then we moved on to underhand wide grip rows. So when you're programming back exercises for yourself, it's really important to know the angle of movement for your elbow. So every single time, you want to differentiate your back exercise. You want some where the elbow pulls in, and you want some where the elbow pulls out. You want some where the elbow pulls in a vertical manner, and some that pull in a horizontal. So because the first lat exercise was the elbow pulling in, the second one I programmed it with the elbows pulling out and in a much wider grip. And once again at the end, I also had an isometric movement to squeeze the latissimus, camellus, Hennessy. And finally, we finished off with some arms with dumbbell preacher curls. Once again, moving them independently just to fix any muscular imbalances, and also dumbbell skull crushers. Hopefully you guys learned a lot from this video because, you know, I rarely drop crazy scientific knowledge like that. And when I do, I hope you guys can take it all in. Peace!
In there, right? Usually you're right in here's pretty nasty. Okay, that doesn't feel good. Definitely a lot of fun. Okay, but a lot of times, like right in here is where you're gonna catch